Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh, man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
What is up, everybody? What's going on? It is Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to Party on Broad. Party on Broad can be found on iTunes and Spotify. Make sure you subscribe to the TPL YouTube channel. Today, we are doing a pregame show. We are talking the top keys to success for the Eagles on offense and defense. We're going to predict the stars of the game and do some game predictions. Joining me today is Double D, my man Dylan. Follow him on Twitter at DylanJD98. What up, man?
Had a good weekend in AC. And just trying to remind myself of more positive times as an Eagles fan. But I'm worn out, and I feel like this game is just going to make me even more worn out. But
just like Dylan, I actually just got back from a weekend at the beach. It was my 13th-month-old first time at the beach, playing with the seashells, playing in the sand. It was Chowderfest. So I literally just ate New England, Manhattan, clam chowder all weekend long. And I am just dreading these next 4 or 5 hours, guys. I'm going to be completely honest. If you want positive energy, if you want, an optimistic look at the Eagles tonight, this ain't it. Also,
I'll try to talk you off the ledge, Dubs.
Please walk me off the ledge, Dylan. That's your job, and I'm counting on you. Also joining us tonight is my co-host for the Suit Up Geeks podcast. He is Marcellus Durnan on Twitter. What's up, Lo?
How you doing, sir? It is hot out here in California, but suffice it to say, I'm actually going to bring a little bit of positivity your way. I'm going to try to be very objective. As a fan, I know my team inside out, and as much as it looks like a cakewalk, we also have issues of our own, which I will touch on later. Shouts out to Ale Industries for this delightful Uncle Jesse. It's going to be fun.
That is a full house beer, man. That is as awesome as it gets. I mean, the Eagles need a lot of awesome, and I don't even know where to begin. Let's talk about – so we're going to talk about the top keys to the Eagles offense and defense. Lowe's going to talk about the top offense and defense keys for the San Francisco 49ers. I'll lead us off. My keys to the Eagles offense is Howie Roseman finally getting called out, and I'm going to kind of combine that with Jordan Mailata's first career start. So on one end, you have Jason Peters going on the IR, which is kind of like a sort of blessing in disguise. He has been horrific all season. On the other end, we have Howie's failures as a general manager taking center stage on TV tonight. Howie Roseman is as clueless as it gets on how to scout talent. With the majority of the offensive line up there in age, this guy goes out there and spends a second-round pick on Jalen freaking Hurts, and who plays 4% of the snaps. You look across the NFL, Logan Wilson, Trayvon Diggs. We can talk another conversation about the Dallas Cowboys secondary, which actually might be worse than the Eagles linebacker core, which is unbelievable to begin with. I have nothing against Jordan Mailata. I wish him nothing but the best, but it's the Eagles' lack of ability or even awareness to learn from their mistakes, and that's going to beat them tonight versus San Francisco, not the San Francisco 49ers. It's Howie's inability to recognize what the Eagles team needs to win. And Jordan Mailata he's fairly athletic. So Carson Wentz, his ability to survive this game lies on Doug getting him out of the pocket again and again and again, using Jordan Mailata's athleticism. I just don't have any kind of hope that Doug's going to actually do something that leads to positive outcomes, because it's been atrocious on a play calling standpoint for the Eagles. What about you, Dylan? What's a key to the Eagles offense for you, buddy?
All right. So, Dobbs, here comes the good part for you, right? The little bit of hope for you. The good news is that the Dallas Cowboys lost earlier today, and they are now 1-3, which means that the Eagles can somehow muster up a win tonight in San Fran. They'll be in sole possession of first place.
Come on, man.
Hold on. I'm not saying it happens. I'm just saying if it happens, you have first place, and internally you change the outlook of your season a little bit. We have played the worst football we have played, that many of these guys on this active roster have ever played in their lives, and you're in first place. Is that going to happen? No. How can it happen? It starts with Carson Wentz, and not even so much himself. It's his confidence level right now. And Dibes, look, we're looking at the injury report, and it just keeps going and keeps going. And now I think this week only Greg Ward practiced as a wide receiver. They brought in, Hakeem Butler off a practice squad, who they brought on as a tight end. Not sure how that makes any sense. But so what I'm looking for tonight offensively is what you were referring to. How does Doug get creative enough with what he has, with the cards that are dealt to him right now because of all the injuries, and how does he get Carson's confidence level back up? Because as tough as it, I just don't know how he gets his confidence back up with Greg Ward. I know that's your boy, Dibes. Greg Ward, John Hightower, Zach Ertz, and Hakeem Butler with this offensive line in front of him. Doug has to move the pocket a ton tonight. He has to come out up tempo. He talked about that and simplifying the game plan for Carson. Look, that was a little bit of a worry to me too. That we'll touch on that later. But just I'm looking to see how Doug can get creative, what kind of game plan he's going to draw up, because the offense through the first 3 weeks has looked awful. So how does Doug come out, and how does he get his franchise quarterback's confidence level back up is the key to this game.
The only evidence that, favors the Eagles in this one is Doug loves playing with his back against the wall. He loves to rally the troops. There is evidence for that. They've done that the last 2 years. That is the only kind of sense of optimism and hope I have, that the offense finally starts to move positive in the right direction. All right, Lo, what are the keys to the Niners offense today? You're muted, buddy.
Hey,
Apologies. I was trying to keep it quiet. I've got my 4-year-old playing right in front of me, so I thought if I could keep it quiet for a while. Anyways, as people have seen from our Super Bowl run last year, Kyle Shanahan's offense is predicated on the run game. But to be fair, as awful as you guys must feel, your big boys up front have been playing pretty well. And between Fletcher Cox and I think is Brandon Graham still playing on your guys on the edge? So those guys are playing pretty strong. You guys are top 10 in rush defense, so I think something's got to give there. But I think the main key here is the return of George Kittle, because as much as you guys have been suffering injuries, I also have been heartbroken with an endless litany of injuries. And from Nick Bosa to Garoppolo to Mostert, we are also equally devastated. And the only reason why we have any shot right now in the NFC is because we were lucky enough to have a soft enough schedule. No offense to the New York fans out there, but the Giants and the Jets didn't put much of a fight.
I'll tell you why. Because you have a competent GM who gives you depth when guys go down.
Getting there. Yes, I was getting there. Hats off to John Lynch. It's a testament to our depth, like you were saying. Even though we lost Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas, we still got Eric Armstead, who is now the captain of our D-line. We got our first-round pick, Javon Kinlaw, who is raw, but he's a big boy. He's got some strength to him, and if we can just get him up to speed faster than usual, we'll be okay. We've got big DJ Jones down there too. But yeah, on the offensive side, sorry, I got sidetracked there. But we got George Kittle coming back tonight, which is huge. Obviously, you guys know how beneficial a tight end is, especially one who is elite. You guys got Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. I hated to see him go down, to be honest. He's on my fantasy team. We also have Debo. I think Debo Samuel will be on a pitch count tonight, but he is also back. So that is on our side. And I think our key is leaning on Kittle and keeping your guys' linebacking core on their toes. I know they've had some issues. I think Nate Gary used to –
a little bit.
Was that? I think Nate Gary used to play safety, right?
Yep.
So he's not even a natural backer. I mean, he's got some speed to him, but
that's what Howie loves to do. Howie loves to take guys that came out of college playing one position and thinks he's smart enough and sees that they can play another position
all the time.
But then you're taking them out of their comfort zone, right? So So I think that's the key. Whether or not our run game can penetrate the big boys up front, I think the key is George Kittle off the play action, keeping the linebackers on their toes, and I think our passing attack will be very important tonight. Hats off to big Nick Mullins. A lot of people don't know who he is, but he is a gutsy guy, and he wins games for us. He's a gunslinger, and I'm excited to see what he can do tonight.
Well done, man. Well done. We're going to be talking about Debo and Kittle very soon. Very, very soon. Another, key to the Eagles' success for me is just run, Miles, run. Miles Sanders, he's dealing with a glute injury, but he's healthy. The Niners defense needs to see an enormous amount of Miles Sanders. I thought he played terrific versus the Cincinnati Bengals. He averaged 8 yards per carry in the first half and only carried the ball as a runner twice in the second half. Unlike Doug Peterson, anyone with half a brain knows that Miles Sanders should have at least 20 carries moving forward. So against the worst run defense in the NFL, Miles Sanders finished with 18 carries on 95 yards. And Doug Peterson makes Carson Wentz throw the ball 47 fucking times. It is just mind-blowing how inept Doug Peterson has been. It's just sickening. And if the Eagles are going to win today, it's going to be by pounding the rock, controlling the tempo. And so many times we've seen brainless Doug Peterson, abandon the run game. And that just can't happen tonight. Get Miles Sanders the ball consistently in the first and second half. Get the ball to your best playmaker, period. So I don't understand how you can just phase out one of your best players. Any other keys to Eagles' success, Dylan?
Well, Dobbs, you got to know better by now. We need to see Carson throw the ball 50 times because maybe Doug will hear that and want to do the complete opposite. Because it doesn't take a brain surgeon to look at what's been going on with this team, injury wise, how your quarterback's been playing, how Miles Sanders has been running, who the defenses that you're playing against. Like you said, Cincinnati was the worst rush defense in the National Football League last week, and Sanders opened up the game with 2 carries for 15 yards to almost 2 first downs just like that, and he went completely away from it. So you know what, Doug? Go ahead, throw the ball 50 times. Maybe you'll do the opposite for once.
And Carson Wentz will die. He will die tonight.
It's as simple as he has to come out up tempo, throw looks at San Fran that they haven't seen before, like that teams haven't seen from us this year. Because when you keep playing the simple game you're playing, you're going to get shut down.
You know what the craziest thing about this is, Dylan? Is that when the Eagles do run up tempo, when they're actually putting in Jalen Hurts, it works. It'll be another.
He goes away from everything they do when they're pounding the ball down Cincinnati's throat. He goes away from it.
It's crazy.
They're running up tempo and they drive down the field for 75 yards and a touchdown. The next possession, guess what? He doesn't go back to up tempo. It blows my mind.
All right. Any other keys to success for the Niners offense, Lo, before we move on to defense? Anything you want to touch on? Good?
No, we're good.
All right. All right. Let's go to the keys to the Eagles defense. I've got a couple. I'll lead off with slowing down Debo and George Kittle. 15 receptions, 206 yards, and a touchdown. Those are the combined numbers of Cooper Kupp and Tyler Boyd in the slot these last 2 weeks. The Eagles haven't been able to stop anybody from the slot these last 2 weeks. And that Debo Samuel, I expect him to be salivating right now. Just absolutely salivating, watching the tape of the Rams game, of the Bengals game, and I just see them moving Debo around in motion and in the slot and on the outside, reversals. The Eagles
too.
What's that?
The rookie too.
Brandon Ayuk. Yeah. Brandon Ayuk is a monster. He was one of my favorite
baby
picks.
Debo.
Yeah, he is.
I swear, you can line up Ayuk and Debo next to each other. They almost look like twins when they're in motion. It's just like if you get both of them on the field, watch out.
I was team Jalen Reagor in the draft. Everyone knows that. And that was my main comparison for Jalen Reagor was Debo Samuel. And I love Brandon Ayuk. We touched on this during the Tuesday night preview show. I love Ayuk. That guy, I see him more of as an outside wide receiver moving forward. But, dude, the combination of Ayuk and Debo keeping the Eagles linebackers off balance that is going to be a major problem. Like the Eagles have not been able to stop these guys that are versatile and kind of burn you in multiple different ways. And then you touched on, George Kittle. That just is a nightmare matchup between Nate Gary and George Kittle. That is going to be exposed over and over and over again, like we've seen all season long. Nate Gary should not be playing in the NFL. He is hands down probably the worst football player I have ever seen, and he plays 100% of the snaps. It is the most mind-numbing. They can't get any worse. Why don't you put in, Sean Bradley? Why don't you put in Davion Taylor? It can't get worse. And that George Kittle and Nate Gary matchup, man, that is going to be ridiculous. So can the Eagles secondary match the versatility of Ayuk and Deebo Samuel? Can Nate Gary, I don't know, make a play versus George Kittle? It doesn't look good. What about you, Dylan?
Damn, Dives, I was supposed to be the optimist on this podcast. I'm so depressed now.
I'm sorry, man. I stick to my guns here. I try to be a realist as much as I can. I'm not trying to be a fan here. I'm trying to be.
I'm with you. Until they show me otherwise, I'm not jumping back on that. So I talked about how the offense needs to be simple. Like it's not rocket science to see what you do well and what needs to happen. A balanced attack. Miles Sanders should carry the ball over 20 times. I don't care that his ass is hurting. He needs to carry the ball over 20 times. Okay? Get Boston Scott involved. Get Corey Clement involved. Get the ball into John Hightower's hands in space. Quick screen passes. Run up tempo. Get Carson out of the pocket and move the pocket. Don't make him a standstill target. He used his legs a lot last week. It reminded me of 2017 Carson. That was one positive sign out of everything.
Yep.
The defense, however, there's so many different components compared to what I was talking about with the offense that I'm looking at. You talked about the one in George Kittle. My God, I have no idea how George Kittle doesn't catch 13 balls for 195 yards. Tyler Higbee had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
What the hell is George Kittle going to do against this defense?
I have no idea, man. It is absolutely terrifying.
So George Kittle is, I think, the most clear and obvious response against our linebackers. You talked about the speed with the wide receivers. These fast, tiny receivers give the Eagles problems, and they have 2 of them. Plus George Kittle. So I don't know who Darius Slay follows around if he plays one side of the field. I have no idea what Jim Schwartz is going to do. Next, Kyle Shanahan versus Jim Schwartz.
Oh my God.
Another mismatch. Hold on. Now, what needs to happen, in my opinion, is you need to take away the run game. They're without Raheem Mostert. They're without Tevin Coleman. So that leaves Jerick McKinnon, who's still a nice running back and can catch the ball out of the backfield. And I promise you, he's going to break 1 or 2 screens tonight. You're going to see it happen against the Eagles defense. But if you can take away the run and make backup Nick Mullins one-dimensional and make the Niners have to pass to beat you, and now I know I just said they have so many weapons, but if you know what's coming because you're stopping the run and you don't have to stack the box, and you can just rush 4 or 5, you have a little bit better of a chance. And you have to turn the Niners over. You have to give Carson some sort of short field tonight at least once. You had the worst turnover differential in the NFL. And while that is on the offense and Carson Wentz for turning the ball over at such an outrageous amount, it's also on the defense for not turning teams over at such an outrageous low amount.
Yep.
So the defense needs to make Kyle Shanahan's playbook one-dimensional, drop back Nick Mullins over and over again to beat you, get after him a little bit, and turn them over. That's all I have. Because other than that, if you don't turn them over, George Kittle, Deebo, Ayuk, McKinnon, there's so much speed thrown in with Kittle, you're done.
That was my number 2 take. That was my number 2 key, was create turnovers. The Eagles are the second worst in the NFL in takeaways per game. They have the worst turnover differential at -7. That cannot continue to happen if the Eagles want a single shot at winning tonight. They need to force the Niners into turnovers. Go ahead, Lo. What are the the keys to the Niners defense today.
So before I touch on our defense, I just want to say, Dylan, man, you called it out really well because historically, Kyle Shanahan's offenses on 3rd and long, we don't do very well. So that's the key, man. If you can stuff us on 1st and 2nd down the run, our offense flows based off of the run, the play actions, all the misdirection. It flows off of the success of our zone runs. And they don't call Jarek Jet for nothing. So I'm hoping he does break one. But I mean, if you guys can corral him a little bit, it'll give us some fits. Going to our defense. So interestingly enough, this is a really interesting matchup because all 3 of our starting corners are out. Richard Sherman, Akello Witherspoon, Emmanuel Mosley, who played really well last season, they're all out. And even our next man up, Kawan Williams, is banged up. He came in tonight questionable. So despite the fact that you guys don't have receivers, I also don't have very many corners, and I am very concerned. So I think you guys mentioned it already. I think a quick up-tempo offense will benefit you guys, keeping our inexperienced corners on their heels. And also up front, even though we're a little bit banged up, we got Fred Warner and Quan Alexander behind the big boys up front. Excellent linebackers. I think that's one of the reasons why we've been doing so well. But at the same time, if you attack them, Quan's a little undersized and he does get a little over aggressive. And so I'm worried about Miles. That kid has got some juice. I wanted him on my fantasy team. He's a stud. I'm a little worried if they attack that weak side where Quan's at, he can get a little over aggressive and over pursue. And Fred's solid, but he can't cover the entire field by himself. So I think that's my concerns on the defensive end. And it's all about our pressure. If we can get Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, and we just signed Ziggy Ansah. I don't know how many snaps he's going to see, but if we can get some pressure and corral Wentz, I think that's the key. Otherwise, this might be a low-key shootout if Wentz can get in a rhythm and hit some of your guys. I can actually see you guys keeping up with us.
Dude, all right, I just had to hit on that. That's all it is right now. The kid, and it goes back and forth. It's on him. Like, I know there's a lot of people that say, like, I can't hate on Wentz. He's played awful. But at the same time, his head coach and play caller do nothing to help him out. Carson, when he comes out of the gates on fire, like when he needs to get into a rhythm. I think that's where up tempo will help him, like Doug talked about. So will Doug stick to his guns and stick to his word about what he said about simplifying the game plan, giving him 1 or 2 reads, which in year 5 that kind of bothers me. It makes me worried, but
very worried. You saw his mechanics. He's regressing. Like, there's no way you can deny that Carson Wentz is regressing right now. You see his feet shuffling. He's making passes after pass.
But Doug, no, he is. But my counter to that is, what do you want? He's getting happy feet. That's what you're seeing, and it's because he's got no one around. I can't necessarily call it a total. It's a little bit of a regression, but I can't call it regressing because. Put an actual NFL offense around him. Invest in him. Like, where do you want him? Like, I'm not speaking towards you, but like people out there, where do you want him to gain confidence at with what's around him, dude? He's got to go play San Fran on national television tonight, 0-2-1, with a chance to get first place in the division or a quarter through the way of the season. And he literally has John Hightower. Hakeem Butler is probably going to have to play today. Is Quez Watkins even playing? Like, I
think
wait,
so.
Is Arcega-Whiteside out?
He's doubtful, dude.
Aaron Rodgers has more catches than J-Jaw this season. Let's just say that. All right, but you're fully right, Dylan. I'm going to call Carson out when I can because you're absolutely right because the Eagles do not run an offense at all that is conducive to Carson Wentz regaining his 2017 form. It was kind of like eye-opening when you see the Eagles play the Bengals and the Rams. They're running misdirection. They got guys in motion. They're moving the ball around. All we were spoon-fed all off season long, the drafting of Jalen Hurts. The Eagles offense is going to get more creative. They're going to focus on speed. And that was something that we were told over and over and over again. That was like the main focal point. And what do we see? Carson Wentz, 5 to 7 step dropbacks every single time. and just literally going away from any kind of success.
That might be a tool Doug has to take out tonight, is using Jalen Hurts. Look, I hate the pick. You know how I feel about the pick. Yeah. And you know that Jalen Hurts would never step on the field right now if I were the head coach, as the quarterback. But like against this team, when you're limited in weapons, when you're limited in speed, like playmakers, you might have to run him out on the field more than you would normally would. I just had to ask an outsider a quick question. So, does this make any sense to you? Team A gives their quarterback big money and pays them over $100 million, but doesn't invest in them and put any playmakers around them. Team B refuses to pay their franchise quarterback, but trades up in the draft to get maybe the best receiver in the draft and load up with offensive weapons around him. Does it make any sense?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, from an outsider's point of view.
Wait, so which one is Philly? The team A?
Team A.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I was questioning that too. I mean, they cashed out Wentz and then they take Hurts. I was like, what? Like,
you took Hurts. You took J-Jol over DK Metcalf. Like,
it's over.
No, I'm getting off track. I gotta stop talking.
No, it's not. But it's not just offense; it's defense. It's a failure to recognize talent across the board. Jim Schwartz, Howie Roseman. Yeah, we're going off on tangents here. LJ Fort is a beast for the Baltimore Ravens. Guess who the Eagles let him go for? Orlando freaking Scandrick. This happens all the time.
Do you know who covered DeAndre Hopkins today a decent amount?
Oh no, I don't know who.
Russell Douglas. DeAndre Hopkins had under 50 yards, Dives.
The scheme doesn't work. Jim Schwartz needs to be fired yesterday. Follow the footsteps of Matt Clintock. That was like the best news this weekend when we were drinking out in the patio at the beach, our beach house, and I walked out and they're like, Clintock's gone, and I just gave the biggest like entourage like victory. It was just fantastic. Let's get to our comments, guys. I'm sorry.
Hey, real quick, just to give you guys a little glimmer of hope here.
Yeah.
Please.
I think Miles, honestly, is also a big key. If you guys can get him going in the passing game, because we are vulnerable there. I think Chase Edmonds caught a swing pass for a touchdown week 1. And that wasn't even Kenyon Drake. So, I mean, you can catch us off guard. Like I said, we're a little bit over-aggressive. So, getting them out in the swings, just dumping it off to Miles.
It's not even just Miles. We have other – Boston Scott and Corey Clement can catch the ball out of the backfield too. And they both
because with an aggressive linebacking core like ours, you get us moving this way and that way and dump it off screens here. You guys can really get something going there. So
you want to know what's great?
That makes sense, right?
You want to know what's really great? The three of us can sit here and figure that out and talk about it, right?
That's what we keep doing. We keep banging our heads against the wall. You know, it's not hard stuff here. Football's not that difficult. And we keep saying the same things over and over again, week after week after week. We see it. Why can't Doug see it? It's absolutely crazy. Quick go to the comments, and then we'll keep going. My man Ryan goes, "Go Niners." He goes, "Nothing worse than when your team is mediocre. It is time to tank." Eagles, you might not be wrong.
I'm out. I promise you, I'm not dealing with tanking. I promise you, 3 years after a Super Bowl, and I have a franchise quarterback. And I was told a new norm. I am not dealing for tanking. It's not happening.
I think this might be the most nonchalant, like tanking in disguise thing I've ever. That's the only excuse. The only excuse I have here is that Howie Roseman is deliberately not addressing the team's needs, depth, talent. And that's the only thing I can think of. That's the only logical explanation for.
But it doesn't even. But at the same time, that doesn't even make sense to me because you won the Super Bowl in 2017. You came back. You had all the same pieces. Now you need to go out and draft. That's how you keep getting better as a franchise.
As like the 2017 year when the Eagles won the Super Bowl and Howie Roseman just went the Jay Ajayi signing was fantastic, but he went all in on signing these vets to 1-2 year deals. Double-edged sword, man, because that was the best of things and it was the worst of things because now it worked in 2017. It's not working now. Jasmine, hold on. I'm going to get to the comments, man. Jasmine's joining, says, go Eagles. Thank you for joining, Jasmine. We have Tyson Roberts, Niners all day, every day. There it is. Thanks for joining, Tyson. Hope Jimmy gets better, but Mullins is going to be good. We have Nathan joining. What's up, Nathan? What's up, guys? Just got here. He says, Jim Schwartz has got to go. We did a pod on who is to blame. Jim Schwartz, Howie Roseman, get the fuck out away from Philadelphia. Just to put both of those in both of those guys in like their small room, like across the street from NovaCare. Get them away. Nothing is working. So there it is. Same with Howie firing him on the spot. We have to win tonight. Oh, what's up? We also have how many wins does the division winner end with? And we saw the Cowboys today, just their secondary get exposed by the Cleveland Browns.
7-9. You got it.
7? That is my nightmare, man.
Got in 7-9 a couple seasons ago.
Like the best part is
2016.
You can't even be 7-9 because we tied. So
I posted a thing on Twitter where it was like live look at the Cowboys versus Eagles in a month, and it was like 2 pieces of dog shit laying on the ground because that's essentially what this is. The division is so bad, and my nightmare is that we're going to see the Eagles go on this like 3 to 4 week surge at the end of the season, win 6-7 games, win the division. They bring everybody back next year, and it's all gravy. Like that is my nightmare. That can't happen.
Hey, as an outsider, can I actually ask you guys? Because I actually had, I'm an avid fantasy player. I had Carson Wentz, his big MVP-ish season. And I remember him doing a lot of like pre-snap reads, checking out of plays. Yeah. He looked like Peyton Manning out there. I got to ask you guys, what went wrong? Is it his lack of playmakers? Is it a lack of trust from Doug Peterson? Like he looked so different 3 years ago. There's 2 things.
I think there's a disconnect somewhere between him and Doug. I don't know exactly what it is. There's definitely a disconnect there. And it's not that he doesn't trust himself. I don't think he trusts who's around him. And that's what I was going back to. That's what I was talking to you earlier about, like with not like investing in him and giving him weapons. How could you be confident? Like if he's checking out of something at the line of scrimmage, right? Pre-snap. And, how can he be confident that Deontay Burnett is going to be on the same page as him? Like you go back to that year, it was a veteran Alshon Jeffrey who was still really good in producing. It was a veteran Torrey Smith. It was Zach Ertz. It was Trey Burton. Like veterans all around. The running backs, J.J. and LeGarrette Blount were veterans. He had one of the best offensive lines in football at the time.
That's true.
So I don't think he –
and they ran the ball. Ran the ball.
I don't think he trusts
LeGarrette Blount, J.J., they ran the ball. I think they had like 3 runners with like 500 or 600 yards rushing.
But guys, I just wanted to say something real fast. I know we're like doing a pregame show and we're just going on tangents here. The thing with the Cowboys is, look, watching them lose today was awesome. And I know it would be a great feeling for one night if we somehow pulled out a win tonight and we're in first place and we played so shitty. The difference is, the Cowboys defense is Swiss cheese. It's garbage. They will not go anywhere. They will be no better than 8-8 max. They will not go anywhere in the playoffs. But guess what? The hard truth is when you watch the Eagles and you watch the Cowboys so far, they're on 2 different levels. Mm-hmm. And the Eagles' record might be better after this week. It's just the honest truth. Like when we play them, I have no confidence that we're going to beat them because, their defense is awful. But who the hell do we have on offense that is going to go put up the 49 like the Browns did? Their offense is going to chew Jim Schwartz apart.
You have Miles Sanders and you have Jalen Reagor. And that's been the biggest thing this season, that it has really made me step back and have a big picture look at where the direction of the Eagles moving forward. And you can't ignore the red flags that are across the board. They're failing top to bottom. For management, coaching, quarterback play, the injuries. Like it is just a complete shitstorm of a perfect storm of issues. So that's the issue. The issue is you can't there's nothing to fix the Eagles here. Like there's nothing that they can just overnight fix and it's going to work. It's collective. Go ahead, Lo. Sorry.
Do you guys take any solace in the fact that Alshon's almost close to returning, or you have no trust in him either?
At this point, yeah. I said last week we need Alshon Jeffrey. I never thought in a million years I would need.
He's back at practice, so
I need him back now. And Dobbs, that's what I was going to say. Maybe I need to see. Hold on, can we pop this up for a second?
Yeah.
Come on, Carson Wentz, get some rhythm tonight. I need to see 300 passing yards. No, I don't need to see that.
You want to see a more efficient Carson Wentz?
Yeah, I need to see more efficient, no turnovers, play to win the game. First of all, who the hell's he throwing the ball to? That's going to get for adding up to 300 yards.
Whoa! Greg Ward, man.
And then you need Miles. Hey, realistically, you need Miles at 150 total yards receiving and rushing. Just get him going.
You're running back. So wait, real quick. So to my point, there is like that's a little glimmer of hope if you keep the ship afloat and you're at the top of your division with Dallas. And let's say, now I know we think they're washed up, but let's say your receiving core around Carson, who, look, the whole rumors about the snitch and like him and Carson don't get along, whatever you want to believe. We don't know how true that is, but we know that they had we know they were comfortable out on the field together. So if you put Alshon Jeffrey, Zach Ertz, Greg Ward, Jalen Reagor, because he'll be coming back, and the 3 running backs around Carson, then it's like, okay, I feel like this offense can compete to some level. I have no hope that this offense can compete tonight. We have a guest.
Hello.
He got shy. He was like, oh my God, they're looking at me.
Nathan, I hope you're right, my man. But
yeah, let's go into stars of the game. I think touch on I'm picking stars of the game, assuming the Eagles win here. I'm going against my gut feeling. We'll get into game predictions very soon. Stars of the game on offense is Greg Ward. Greg Ward is the only healthy wide receiver on the Eagles active roster, and I think it's beyond obvious that he's Carson Wentz's favorite weapon. Ward saw a career high 11 targets in week 3. 8 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. So far on the season, Ward has 19 targets. So, with this game being a potential blowout, I think Carson Wentz and Greg Ward, they're going to be going to each other a lot today. So I think anywhere from like 11 to 12 receptions, 110 to 130 yards for Greg Ward is fairly realistic. On the other side of the ball, Josh Sweat. He's been one of the few bright spots on the Eagles defense besides Darius Slay, of course. So I got to give my man Josh Sweat some mad respect. He's got 2 sacks, 5 tackles, I think, for loss, and a forced fumble this season. The Eagles need Josh Sweat to kind of keep getting pressure on the quarterback. That's really the nuts and bolts of football. It's not hard stuff. Josh Sweat has been good. Everyone else on the defensive line has been pretty meh. So Josh Sweat versus Trent Williams, that is definitely a matchup to watch tonight. Go ahead, Dylan.
George Kittle. No. I want to say I'm going to go with who I have on tonight, and that's Carson's favorite target. Look, Zach, you showed up a little bit last week. You had the big catch, he had the big catch in overtime that we thought the Eagles were going to end up winning the game off of that catch in the field position they were put in. But he hasn't been the Zach. He wants a new deal, and he hasn't looked like the Super Bowl Zach Ertz or Zach. My God.
Oh, preach, brother. Sorry. Go ahead, Dylan.
I'm speechless.
You can't deny that Carson Wentz, chemistry-wise, Carson Wentz and Greg Ward are the only 2 that have been in sync so far this season. You can't deny that.
I can't deny it. No, I can't. And I hope Greg Ward has a great game tonight. But the sad truth is Greg Ward, if he goes out and gets 7-8 catches, Greg Ward's probably going to have 82 yards. But it's got to be Zach Ertz to me. He's got to get Carson some sort of – he's got to be that familiar piece, some sort of comfort zone in the middle of the field where he can just sit. If the Niners are running a zone, he can just find the spot, sit down, Carson steps in, delivers the football. He's got to be there for Carson to where – I don't know, just to get him in a rhythm in the beginning of the game. And I don't mean Zach Ertz has that catch in overtime and he started I need Zach Ertz out of the gate, first drive, there for Carson.
Love it. What about you, Lo?
Stars of the game?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, not to pick the obvious low-hanging fruit here, but I just think the return of George Kittle is going to be monumental. I can see him catching something like 2 touchdowns tonight.
Yeah.
But I will say, though, I love my guys up front, from Trent Williams to Mike McGlinchey, like really strong tackles. But I think their area of expertise is definitely like they're road grading, kind of blockers. And where you can kind of get us is on the pass blocking side of it. Nick Mullins and Jimmy Garoppolo occasionally have been running for their lives, have been getting taken down when things break down up front. So I think if you guys put some pressure on Nick Mullins, we're going to have some problems tonight. And I think this game is definitely not going to look like it was in the Meadowlands. I think this game will be a little bit closer than people expect, but I also see us pulling away late. I'm looking at like a 27-17 score here.
Okay.
Maybe George Kittle with around 2 touchdowns, Nick Mullins throwing 2 touchdowns, maybe throwing a pick, maybe 1 or 2. And I also see backing up Jerick McKinnon, we have Jeff Wilson. Shout out to the fantasy footballers. They nicknamed him, "My name is Jeff." He's a stud. He's a goal line guy. He's a big boy. And I could see him running away with a couple touchdowns on his end and maybe closing out the game. So 27-17 is my call. I think George Kittle has a welcome home back in Santa Clara tonight.
That's one of the weirdest things last week where the Eagles defensive line was able to get Joe Burrow, I think 6 times, but in no respect was Joe Burrow under any kind of duress. Like that did not impact him. Maybe that's just
they got him 8 times.
What's that?
They got to him 8 times.
8 times they got Joe Burrow in week 3, and it didn't matter. Like Joe Burrow just carved up the Eagles defense again and again. So it's one of those things. I'll do my prediction. The Eagles are just a straight up hot mess. We all know this on both sides of the ball. There is nothing in this game that gives me confidence other than Doug Peterson rallying the troops back against the wall like he did the last, it happened a lot later in the season, the last 2 years, but here we go. So they're on center stage, national TV. We've got Jordan Mailata protecting Carson Wentz's blind side. That's all you need to know. Exactly.
Into that Snoop Dogg, who?
Yes, exactly. He plays the ukulele. He's played the ukulele more than he's played for the Philadelphia.
Actually, I got a good one for you, Dibes. Insert that gif of Theoden and 2 towers. How did it come to this?
No, that really is what kind of we've been talking about. Is Jason Peters is 38 years old.
Yeah,
and
aren't we so glad that we gave Jason Peters the extra couple mil to switch back to left tackle? Thanks.
No one saw him getting injured. A 38-year-old. Cordy Glenn.
He's not even playing tonight, right?
No, he's on. He hurt his toe. He hurt his toe. Oh. But yeah, I think tonight is the true beginning of the end for the Philadelphia Eagles. You guys have a ton of injuries on your end, but I see the Niners rolling tonight. I think they're winning by more than a couple touchdowns. And all signs point to this game being over by halftime. I'm going Niners 37, Eagles 14, and it's just going to be one of those national media. The story of the week will be the downfall of the Philadelphia Eagles and Howie Roseman, and that might be a positive. And that's how low I am on this squad. Go ahead, John.
Coming in, no, still. Do I think the Eagles are going to lose? Yeah. But you know what? It's our Party on Broad pregame show, so fuck it. I'm going to say that Carson Wentz is on national television and makes one or two of those wow, Carson Wentz plays that you saw a couple years ago. Like that Sunday night throw against Seattle, even though they lost that game when he was rolling out, getting chased by Michael Bennett and makes the throw to Aguilar.
You have to get out of the pocket first.
Yeah. I'm going to say that Carson Wentz.
I was going to say, if Kyler Murray proved anything, is that quarterbacks give us fits.
Yeah.
For sure. So if Carson Wentz can get some easy runs on us, get it outside the pocket and make some crazy plays, that's where he can really break us down.
I'm going to say that Carson Wentz takes some of that confidence and momentum, and I know they tied, and it's not what we wanted whatsoever, but he played well towards the end of that game, brought them back in a 2-minute drive, used his legs. Carson Wentz musters up enough. The defensive line, Fletcher Cox, Siobhan Hargrave, Malik Jackson, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, they make Kyle Shanahan's offense one-dimensional. They get after Nick Mullins. They force a turnover or two, and I'm going to say that the Eagles win 27-24.
Woo! Let's go. Eagles win. Love it. Love it.
I can see it.
I love it. Oh, man, that would be pretty wild. Pretty wild. Let's do plugs. Go ahead, Lo.
Hey,
You lead.
real quick,
go
I
ahead.
gotta say, that run to send the Bengals-Eagles game into overtime.
Yeah.
Hey, Wentz showed some grit on that, man, and you love to see it. I don't think he does it enough, and I think without his playmakers, he's got to kind of put them on his back a little bit. So
no, that's what he did the last 5 games of 2019. He Deontay Burnett, Greg Ward. We're already there though. That was like week 12. We're in week 4. And that's kind of the concern moving forward. Like we have, I think, 4 active wide receivers tonight. So it's just a hot mess all around. And to play devil's advocate, who missed Miles Sanders for a wide open touchdown down the sideline? It was Carson Wentz. So there are moments for Carson Wentz to shine, and he's been missing guys pretty much once or twice every game so far through 3 weeks. That's the cold hard truth. Now I fully agree. Like you're not seeing creativity from Carson Wentz because there's absolutely none in this offense playbook whatsoever. It's everything they could possibly do wrong. They're doing it. It is almost Dylan and I laugh at this constantly. It's just mind numbing that you're watching like someone do the play calling for the Eagles. You watch Doug Peterson. He has the playbook on his face. He doesn't watch the game. He doesn't watch the game.
Dodge, I'll back you, even though I just picked the Eagles to win. Nathan, my man, thank you for watching. But I said that look,
I picked the Eagles to win every week this season, man.
I know I just picked them, and I just picked them because I'm an asshole. That's the hard truth. What has this team shown you in the first 3 weeks to give you any faith that they're going to go on the road and beat the 49ers? Again, I know I just picked them, but I got you, Dobbs.
I picked the Eagles to win every single week this season, so that is not the case. But I gotta call a spade a spade. Plugs. Do you want to go ahead, Lo?
Yeah. So sports is not my expertise, but I love sports. And if you guys like film and TV stuff, I proofread and help edit at moviesmatrix.com. You can find me on Twitter at Marcellus Durden, and I have a live podcast in about 40 minutes or so. We're doing all the latest movies and film news. So if that's something that interests you guys, check it out. Down the Rabbit Hole podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Movies Matrix Pod. Check it out if you got some time.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Go ahead, Dylan.
Eagles preview show Tuesday night. Me, Dives, and our guy Rob. Spitball with me and Mike Small on Wednesdays, and then my Faithful Fanatics podcast on Thursdays. Go check all of them out. And go Birds.
Go Birds, baby.
Hey, shouts out to Smalls. That guy's awesome.
Smalls has been in some of our movie drafts, and next weekend we have a horror movie draft. It's going to be on 2 nights, next Saturday and next Sunday, where 20 teams are going to be picking 5 of their favorite horror movies of all time, and we're going to throw it on to Twitter, and you can vote yourself who has the best collection of horror movies. That's next Saturday and next Sunday. That's going to be a ton of fun. I really cannot wait. I just started my big board on the drive home from the beach today. So make sure you check that out, moviesmatrix.com, on Twitter at moviesmatrix. What else? I've got some Mandalorian posts coming out for Movies Matrix. That's going to be really, really fun.
Is it pending review yet?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at it, good sir.
All right, cool. And if you love the NBA draft and the NHL draft, we've got a ton of content out there. My man Tyson and I have been pumping out the NHL draft, mock drafts. It's on like 300 views now. It's doing really well. And then the NHL draft is this Thursday night, and we'll be doing a reaction on the Flyers, who they picked, who he is, and winners and losers of the NHL draft. That's going to be really, really fun. And tons of NBA draft content. If you love Sixers and the NBA draft, oh my gosh, there's so much out there for you. I guess we'll wrap it up. For Dylan, for Lo, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome. Go Birds!